Alrighty then, everybody. Hello, welcome to the Alex Cuesta Show. How's everybody doing? I know I'm doing well. David, I think you're doing well over there. Hello, how are you, Dave?
I'm doing pretty well. And I like talking about the topic coming up. So
Yes. We are going to talk about a fun topic and something that when David and I used to have a more 50-50 show, we talked about a lot more. But before we get into anything fun like that, please remember, like, share, follow, subscribe, rate 5 stars if you're listening to this on Spotify or iTunes. And also, please, if you will, spread this word of mouth. Tell everybody that you like this friggin' show. And if you don't like it, lie. Please just lie. Anyway, socials, The Alex Cuesta Show. Go search it anywhere you have social media, and we'll be there. You can find us. We put up some fun things. We put up the shows. I haven't started memeing yet, Dave. I think we need to start memeing. What do you think?
I mean, you do what you like.
What do you mean you do what you like? Listen to this guy. He just comes once a week. Usually, here's some inside baseball. He usually decides the topic. So a lot of it is on him. And then now he wants to have no responsibility on what goes on.
No, not at all.
But so we're going to do something, we talk a lot of politics. We haven't been as much lately, Dave. I thought we had a great conversation last week with Hack No Cap talking about religion. That was a really, really fun show, a deep show. We're going to be a lot lighter today, probably a lot angrier because I have something already to rant and rave on that I did not realize.
You're going to be a lot angrier.
Oh, I'm going to be angry. You're going to accept my anger and understand it, but you're not going to echo it. Is that a good way to put it?
Basically, yeah.
But we're going to talk about some more sports stuff today. We've done it before, but we're not just a political show. We talk a little bit of everything. So we're going to talk some sports today, and specifically NFL free agency. Now I'm going to put this in I don't know what the word's saying, in reference, I guess, of what I want to say here. What do I want to say here, Dave? We're recording on a Wednesday. The show's going to come out Sunday. A lot can happen between Wednesday and Sunday. No, I'm not editing that out. I don't care if I sound like a retard. It's going to happen. But
you always do anyway.
I do anyway. So it's just a normal state of affairs. But so we're going to talk NFL free agency again. A lot can happen here to there, but we are going to rant about it because a lot has happened in just the first 3 days of free agency. Dave, the cap did go up this year, but only a little bit. I don't remember, and maybe we say this a lot, and free agency frenzies happen, but it seems that this year...
It's because the cap is a myth.
The cap is a myth. There were people that work ridiculous things. Saints and Packers, whoever their numbers guy are insane because both of them are in cap hell, and they're making moves. But it's just been fun to watch. We're going to first start off. We're going to talk about our Jets because we're Jets fans. So if anybody wants to skip ahead, I could imagine you're going to get a good 10, 15 minutes here. So if you just want to skip ahead, if you're not a Jets fan, you could skip ahead and then we're going to talk general. But right now we're talking Jets. Dave, in Bald Boys, we have to trust because right now I think Joe Douglas has the Jets in line to have one of the best, if not the best free agent periods out of every team in the NFL. What do you think?
I mean, obviously there's a bias here, but I really like what he's doing. But the thing is, I mean, as I said before the podcast, actually, we're seeing a free agency process that has a plan to it. That's the number one thing. You could see Joe Douglas's plan through what he's doing in this free agency. He has the number he wants for people, and he won't go over it. We'll discuss that a little more with people that we missed out on and who we ended up getting instead.
Yep.
But he has a full plan. He knows what weaknesses he wants to hit before the draft, and he's doing it. He's doing it really well. At least it seems like to us. Obviously, we'll see what happens during the year. But from all the production we've seen from the people he's picked up, he seems to be doing well.
So I was in a Twitter space 2 nights ago, led by Sack Exchange, and it ended up being a really fun Twitter space. It went on the first day of free agency from 12 noon to I think midnight, if not a little bit later. It was a marathon. And at the time that I got in, it was probably closer to 10:30, 11. I hung around for almost the end. But in there was kind of the who's who of Jets talk. You had Damian Woody in there. You had Rich Cimini. You had Tony Richardson. And all of a bunch of other Jets check marks jumped in and out too. And it was really cool because essentially the panel up top was Tony Richardson, Damian Woody, Rich Cimini, really giving insight. And I forget which one it was. It might have been Rich. It might have been Woody. But they were saying that what it seems like Joe Douglas's plan is, or what his plan is to address the major holes here in free agency so that come draft time when they have that number 4 and 10 pick, they could just kind of do best on board and not have to worry about filling a hole with the rookie that is a dire need, which is an awesome luxury. And it looks like something they're doing. Now, first, let's start, Dave. Let's start about who the Jets lost in free agency. They have lost some big names. They lost Foley Fatukasi, which if you're not a Jets fan, you might not know that name.
You won't know that name.
But Foley Fatukasi did essentially what, he did yeoman's work. He was down there in the trenches as a defensive tackle, and he was the guy that was a run stopper, was a double team taker, just ate up bodies and made plays. He wasn't the glamorous guy. He wasn't getting 60, 70, 80 tackles. He was getting 40 tackles, but those 40 were within 3 yards of snapping the football north and south, making those types of plays. So he's an important guy, lost a big guy. I got to say, I'm really happy for Foley. $30 million contract. $20 million guaranteed over to Jacksonville,
which we'll talk about later.
But you know what? Regardless of what Jacksonville has done, that's a good deal for him.
It's a great deal.
Happy for him.
I'm very happy he got it.
Yes. Then also another guy the Jets lost, which it was just happened today that they lost him. And I know the Jets were trying to get him back. Marcus May, free safety, drafted by the Jets. Very, very talented free safety. Marcus May is an extremely talented individual. He'll be remembered as a guy that kind of suffered from injuries, did a holdout. But he shouldn't be remembered that way. He should be remembered as a guy that worked his ass off for New York Jets, played very well.
He gave his all to a not good team.
And when the Jets gave away Jamal Adams and it was question marks whether Marcus May was actually as good as advertised, he stepped up. Mm-hmm. And he had the best year of his career and was everywhere. Now, the knock on Marcus has to be his health. He's been banged up a good amount of his career. Coming into the NFL, he was hurt. He got hurt a few times. He got hurt last year. Talent-wise, he's unbelievable. He goes over to the Saints, $28.5 million deal, $15 million guaranteed, a little higher than I would have paid him guaranteed-wise and year-wise. So I think he got a good deal for him. I'm happy Douglas didn't bring him back for that number. And lastly, the Jets lose a guy who was pretty important to the Jets' any success they had last year, Morgan Moses. He went to Baltimore, $15 million 3-year deal, total guaranteed $5.5 million. He is a solid veteran, and he did his job last year at right tackle when Beckham went down. They had to shift Font. Moses won that outright for right tackle the competition, and he provided. He wasn't great, but he was steady, and especially when they got rid of Van Roten and they brought in DuVernay Tardif, that was a solid side on the right side. They weren't going to move anybody too well. They weren't giving up a ton of sacks, but that was a reliable right side. So, Dave, out of the 3 guys we lost, who's the hardest to fill? Whose spot is going to be, or was the toughest to fill? We'll talk about but who's the toughest to fill there?
The toughest to fill is Marcus May. Now it's Fatukasi, but because May just provided so much for that secondary, even though it was damn young. Obviously he wasn't there for a good amount of year, but still, he was the veteran leadership, especially since you only had Ashton Davis and then starting to pick up everyone else at safety because all the bodies were dropping. But now it's Fatukasi, because Fatukasi, he was the hard worker in the interior D line. He's the grit guy. He gets in there and he does what he needs to do to stop runs, and he does it very, very well. So he's actually difficult to fill in. Like, that's a position that's difficult to fill.
And this is now the second time we've gotten rid of a guy like this. We had Snacks Harrison, who was the best run stopping D tackle. He goes over to the Giants after having a Pro Bowl year, which I hate that accolade, but he did get there. Or he was at that level of being an all-star in the game. And Foley Fudakasi, we had a question mark. Who was going to step up and do that? We were hoping it was a guy like Nate Shepard, who we'll talk about Nate Shepard. And it ended up being Foley Fudakasi filled that role very well the last few years. So he was really happy. And like you said, he's going to be tough to fill in. Now, Morgan Moses, is the blow softened a little because we're expecting Becton back, and now we still have 2 starting tackles there?
The biggest praise I can give Moses is that he actually played through a ton of injury.
Yes.
I don't know how much people know. He played through a good amount of injury, especially with the way that line was patchwork at times. That him playing through that injury at his age, he did very well for us. He did great for us last year, and I hope he does very well on whatever venture he ends up at.
He certainly did. And he was, he was obviously a good locker room guy too, because you never heard anything wrong about him. You never heard anything bad. Morgan Moses, where again, Van Roten needed to get out of there because he talked shit about Zach Wilson early in the year when he was the worst guard in football. But you had Morgan Moses, who could have bitched and moaned because he was a veteran. He was a starter his whole career. He didn't come to deal with this shit. You know what I mean? But he came and he just did his job. And that's something that, again, hope the best for Morgan Moses. He was a consummate professional, was a good guy to have in that team, and was there. So let's jump in. Let's talk about the guys that we brought back real quick, Dave, before we get into the new signings. We bring back the guy with the best hands on the team, our best receiving asset, offensive lineman Connor McDermott. He comes back on a 1-year deal. In reality, he's just a good depth guy, good swing guy. He's athletic. He's athletic. He can play the eligible lineman. He showed it last year when Zach Wilson was running, going, I probably shouldn't throw this. I don't think I should throw this. I'm going to throw it. And he threw it, and McDermott made a nice catch. Yeah. That's a memorable play from last year. So it was fun to see. So he's back on a 1-year deal. Braxton Berrios, who's a guy that all Jets fans wanted back, comes back on a very nice deal, $12 million deal, signing bonus of 7.5 guaranteed there. So I don't think it's signing, but it's 7.5 guaranteed, can go up to 12. Very good deal. And it's a deal that is Jets friendly because a lot of people were thinking $8-9 million a year was going to be his market. They get away with about $6 million a year. So it is a Jets friendly deal. Braxton wanted to be back. The California Surfer Boys coming back to play some more. So I'm happy about that. I think everyone's happy about that. And then on the 11th, there was a slew of pickups made, not pickups, re-signings. So the Jets re-signed offensive lineman Dan Feeney, another depth guy, has the greatest mullet in football. Come at me. And him and Zach Wilson have the cutest love affair of all time. They go to Islanders games and they look like they're about to make out, and it's adorable.
Dan Feeney and Braxton Berrios are also apparently very good friends now.
Apparently. So that's a good locker room move. And Dan Feeney's a guy that no one's going to fuck with on the team. So Braxton and Zach Wilson could probably just be little goofballs, and Dan just stands there. I guarantee that's what goes on in that locker room. They bring back defensive end Tim Ward. I don't really know too much about Tim Ward, but good for you, Tim Ward. They bring back wide receiver Jeff Smith. David and I were talking. He's a guy that maybe catches 20 balls a year, but those 20 balls are first downs, and they're kind of the Jeff Smith's good enough to steal your spot, but not good enough to hold on to it. So he's always the threat. Like, listen, you're not doing your job. You missed that route. Jeff, get in. And then Jeff gets a 15-yard slant, gets the first down. They're like, all right, Jeff, get out. And that's his role. But he's a good enough backup guy. And then an interesting guy they brought back, cornerback Javelin Guidry. Guidry was a guy that fought for the starting slot spot, the nickel corner with Michael Carter II. So, or Michael Carter III, second. So I'm trying to think. He's not the second Michael Carter. I'm not doing that to you, Michael Carter II. You're both equally important to me. But they bring back Guidry, and it was interesting to see where he fits in. So, Dave, it is important though that he was a rookie last year, along with Isaiah Dunn and Eccles, and all three of them are back, and along with Michael Carter. So that's pretty cool to see. So those are the guys, and also kicker Eddie Pinheiro, who finally stopped Jets fans from pulling their fucking hairs out about kicking. He was finally just solid. So we got our kicker back. And hopefully they don't pull a Jets and just cut him for no fucking reason. So we shall see what goes on there. Dave, guys we brought back, you got to be the happiest about Berrios. I think we all are the happiest.
Yes, but I just want to remind you forgot someone. You forgot Tevin Coleman.
Oh, he wasn't even listed on there.
Yeah. We brought back Tevin Coleman
bring back
as well.
Tev. 1-year deal.
I very much enjoyed the way he ran last year. Obviously, he's older, but he still runs hard and he still falls forward. So That's a great asset to have, with especially spelling Michael Carter. But yeah, I'm most excited about Braxton. He brings a certain element to the team. Like, if you get the ball in his hands, if he has one man to beat, it's a scary time for that one man, because if you don't make that tackle, he's out. He's that fast.
He also helps out a guy like Elijah Moore because they run a gadget offense. And it also doesn't only have to be on Elijah to run the gadget plays. He understands the playbook as well. He did it very well last year while Elijah Moore was gone. They run a lot of that jet sweep motion on the West Coast offense there, and he does it. You know, he's not as dynamic as Elijah Moore, but like you said, he can make a guy miss and he can get a big gain. He's got a bunch of big chunk plays last year. So
he's just so damn fast. And the chemistry he has with Zach Wilson, you could see it on the field. And especially in that Bucs game, my goodness. And fan favorite, Braxton. He has a very adorable puppy. So a bunch of people want it back. And that's something that, I know a lot of Jets pages have been talking about this, but that's something the Jets haven't done in recent years, is they didn't bring back the players that exceeded during the time. Yes. They let them go. We never re-signed those players. Now we're re-signing those players that actually achieve something good while here.
And Leon Washington and Brad Smith are two guys that come to mind that fit that exactly, where Leon was our great running back. I think injuries played into him, Lou, going more, but still. And Brad Smith was the gadget guy, very similar to what Braxton Berrios was, the backup receiver, gadget, played a little quarterback, had some fun with him, was extremely dynamic, but when time came to pay him a little bit, they didn't do it. Mm-hmm. It's nice to see him pony up and make a good deal.
Yeah.
All right, so let's run through the acquisitions for the Jets, and then we'll move on to everyone else, because again, people are probably already tired about hearing about the Jets. But yeah, they have a lot of big ones in our eyes, but they might not be big in others. But let's talk. Laken Tomlinson's the big catch. He's paid the most out of everyone that they got. He's a guard, going to be a starting right guard, even though he played left his whole career. You're not moving Vera Tucker. Mm-hmm. He's going to be starting on right guard, which Damian Woody in that space said it's going to take some time to learn, but it shouldn't be a problem. Laken is a veteran.
Especially because LaFleur's offense is going to be similar to the Niners' offense.
He's not going to have to pick up anything different. So he signed for a 3-year, $40 million deal, $27 million guaranteed. I mean, that's a good deal. That's a good deal for Joe Douglas, getting in a veteran that is very talented. He's 30 years old, but he has a lot of skill, and he could definitely, where the left side is going to be the strength, whether or not you put Becton or Font next to him, it's going to be a very strong group. There's going to be no holes on this team, especially running the football. Mm-hmm. And McGovern, when he has that talent around him, is still a very serviceable center. So two guys we brought in on the defensive side that are really important. We talked, David, about filling in Marcus May's position. There was flirtation with Marcus Williams to come over as the big acquisition safety. Yes. He ends up not coming over, and we'll talk about his deal where he went. But he ended up getting, what was it, $18 million a year, something like that.
I believe
16 mil, something. It was a good amount a year. The Jets decided he was too expensive. They went after Jordan Whitehead, who is the safety from Tampa Bay, former champion. Yeah. And he's over on the Jets. They got him for a $14.5 million deal. And I don't see any guaranteed money here. So it's a $7.25 a year. And then they also pick up DJ Reed from Seattle, skilled cornerback, undersized, but skilled. And it's a 3-year, $33 million deal with $11 million a year. Dave, best part about both those guys, they're hard-nosed. They're bona fide NFL starters. They're not scrubs at all. Whitehead is 25. Reed is going to be 26. I don't know what more you could ask for. And now you pair that with Bryce Hall. You pair that with Eccles. They're going to compete, and then someone of them is going to be the backup. Mm-hmm. And now when you get rid of May, is Whitehead as talented as May? Yet to be seen. May is extremely talented. But you pair him up with Joyner, and Ashton Davis comes in and spells. Now that you're not asking Ashton Davis to start, he's going to be much better again. Our secondary went from being the weakness to our strength in 2 guys right now. And I'm loving every moment of it, Dave. And let's round out our acquisitions here for the time. We got 2 tight ends. We got CJ Uzoma, who people might recognize, was Jordan Burrow's favorite target outside of Chase over in Cincinnati. They got in the red zone. CJ Uzoma was the guy. Jets snagged him, 3-year, $24 million deal, $15 million guaranteed. And they weren't done. They just came back earlier today, and they picked up Tyler Conklin from Minnesota, caught 61 balls this past year. Very effective player. Between them, they had 8 touchdowns over the last year. And they just came in while we were doing this show on his contract, which wasn't available. It's a 3-year, $21 million deal. So another friendly deal, which still gives Joe Douglas room to work. So I don't know about you, Dave. We've all talked. The only thing that isn't on here is pass rusher. Really, the only thing that is on here is pass rusher that was a dire need, and an interior lineman, which we can still go after, or we can draft. Quickly, before we go off too much on this, how do you feel about what JD's done?
I feel really good. I brought it up earlier. He has a plan. He's attacking the weaknesses the Jets showed last year, and he's attacking them with mostly younger guys, especially on that defense. Like you said, 25 and 26. The secondary got a lot better from what it was last year. In fact, I think the secondary overperformed at times last year, especially because of how young they were.
Yeah,
they weren't good, but they overperformed. If that makes any sense. If you watch the Jets, you would understand. But they weren't any good, but they did better than what you could ask for.
And quickly, they had a lot of bend not break moments, and the offense struggled a good amount. So these young guys were asked to get on the field a ton, and they performed pretty well. Keep going, Dave. Sorry.
But, and especially, we talked about the tight end room. I love all the praise for Laken Tomlinson, because I'm not going to talk about him too much. He's great, but not a lot of people want to hear about line play. You already talked about it. Laken Tomlinson is going to be great. But the tight end room was something that was very, very bad for us. I don't hate Tyler Kroft and Ryan Griffin. They're just not very good. CJ Uzama and Tyler Conklin, both good pass catching tight ends. Uzama is apparently a fantastic locker room presence. And that's one of the things that Joe Douglas also wanted to hit on, both Douglas and Saleh, is building a culture, building a great locker room presence. And Uzama and Whitehead, actually, have Reed been in the Super Bowl as well? Was Reed on the team? Oh, I don't think so.
I don't think so.
But at least Uzama and Whitehead have been to the Super Bowl. They know what it takes to win in the playoffs. They can bring that mentality of like, here's something that we did. Here's something that we thought about on our playoff run.
And there's something to be said.
Successful runs.
Something to be said about Reed playing alongside a guy like Bobby Wagner. If you really want to bring some, Bobby Wagner has a pedigree. He's won a championship, and he was the leader of that defense. So his demands are probably high.
Yeah.
So there's something to be said about that.
Yeah. So, but that's the thing. That's the thing about these additions, is that not only are they good, productive players, but they also bring some kind of locker room leadership for the most part into what's still a young team.
Certainly. So we are obviously happy about what the Jets have done thus far. It's not as tempered as our happiness should probably be, but because we might get hurt in the end, because we're always ready to be hurt. But you know what, though? It's kind of sometimes when you get hope and we see a functioning front office for the first time in a long time. I think that's really what it is. Jets fans see an actual front office with a plan that isn't floundering. And with even with Rex Ryan, who was one of our better head coaches in the past, there were sometimes issues with who Rex Ryan wanted versus who the front office wanted. This seems to be lockstep. This seems to be Joe Douglas is bringing in guys that Robert Saleh wants, period. And that Matt LaFleur wants, that Ulbrich wants. People that fit their culture, people that fit their game plans, as well as being talented. It's the first time in a long time we've seen the whole unit working together. So excitement, should it be tempered? Yes. Is it going to be tempered? Probably fucking not. Until we lose our first 6 games, then it's like, cool, Jets. So we'll see where we are. Speaking of losers, we're going to talk about the rest of the free agents now. Because the Buffalo Bills,
free agent.
Well, not the rest, but a bunch. So the Buffalo Bills, really good football team. Have one of the best, young quarterbacks, and not just young, best quarterbacks in the NFL in Josh Allen. Very good defense. They got better. They got better with this free agent signing. They got better with signing Von Miller. Von Miller's older. He's 33. He, isn't himself the past few years. Opportunistic with the Rams, made big plays with the Rams in the playoffs to get them where they were. And he deserves a good contract. He does not deserve 6 years, $120 million fucking dollars with 45 guaranteed at signing and 51 and a half total guaranteed. What? He's the first ever position player that is going to make over $200,000 not being a quarterback. Not about 200,000, 200 million and not be a quarterback. Buffalo's high as shit, man. They're just high. Like, I get it. You're in win now mode. You have a really good defense. You think this guy pinning his ears back. You're paying a guy to play on third down. You're not going to fucking play Von Miller 3 downs. What are you going to do? You're not going to play him 3 downs. So you are paying this man $120 million. You're paying him more than your fucking quarterback to play on third down. Dave, make sense of this for me, because fucking Canada's team has lost their goddamn mind.
The funniest part about this is when you first saw it before recording, you thought it was a typo. So you had to go see if it was real.
I did. I checked this new site.
Yeah. I know it's a weird deal for Von Miller.
Fucking stupid.
I don't, because I mean, I like Von Miller. He can still be productive, but he's obviously on a downward trend. He's older. Good for Von. That's great for Von. He's getting $20 million a year for 6 years. By the end of the 6th year, he's going to be horrendously old and brittle. But hey, good for him. I don't know exactly why Buffalo did it. I mean, they already have a good defense. Von does help a bit.
Is there a fuck off clause? We got to see if there's a fuck off clause after 3 years. If the Bills can just tell them to fuck off. There might be. So
on the website you gave me, the potential out, there is no potential out. There's potential outs for other contracts, not for Von Miller.
I don't know. There's got to be, like, if Von is moving around like the sphincter might fall out, we can cut him. Like, maybe, like, who knows? Or maybe they might just be ready to take the cap hit because they're like, if we're not winning a Super Bowl by 3 years, we're probably going to be fucked anyway. So
maybe. I don't know.
Who knows? What the hell? This is the worst deal of my life. Like, this is probably worse.
Oh, I don't know.
This is the worst deal I've ever seen.
The
worst deal I've ever seen. Easily. You're paying. This is like Michael Jordan coming back into basketball right now and becoming the highest paid player.
Right. I don't know about
right now, because he could still drop 10 a game. Michael Jordan at this point in his life could still drop 10 a game, especially in this NBA where you can't touch him.
I don't know if I can argue against that, actually.
He's a bigger boy, too. You can imagine Michael's post move with that fucking gut smacking into you. It ain't happening. Anyway, and he's high as shit all the time. So Michael Jordan would succeed. Anyway. No, this is a terrible deal. This is an absolutely terrible deal. But moving on to another terrible deal, which actually looks reasonable at this point. Christian Kirk was signed by the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, Christian Kirk's a nice player. Had a very good year last year. Almost got to 1,000 yards, but I guess almost getting to 1,000 yards makes you the highest paid wide receiver in free agency. 4 years, $72 million with $37 million guaranteed at signing in total. They're paying the man $18 million a year. Christian Kirk is a bona fide, borderline second option, really good third option on every team in the NFL. He wouldn't be the best wide receiver on the goddamn Jets. And this man is getting $72 million in 4 years. Dave, again, make sense of this.
I mean, I know you want to go at Buffalo for what they did with Von, because it is worse. Ridiculous.
This is better than Buffalo.
It is
better than Buffalo.
But the thing is, if you stack up everything Jacksonville's done so far, they don't care in this free agency. They're just like, all right, throwing money everywhere, pick up everyone possible, and let's see if it works, because we don't want to kill Trevor Lawrence. That's basically what it seems like. I mean, we could just go down what Jacksonville has done so far now. If you want,
I could bring up. Let's bring up Jacksonville and let's see what they've done, because they have done things. They've spent something like $200 million.
So the Christian Kirk deal you already went over. They picked up Brandon Scherff from Washington. 3 years, $50 million.
Best deal they've made. Best deal they made is Brandon.
It's a good deal. It's a very good deal because it's Brandon Scherff. Yeah, he's a good guard. He's 30 years old, but he's a good guard.
Yes.
Now, a linebacker from Atlanta, Olukun. Olukun. He's good.
He's a talented.
He had a good year. But he had one good year. 3 years, $45 million. Now, keep going. We brought up that they got Fatukasi, 3 years, $30 million. Then they also picked up Darius Williams from the Rams, cornerback, 29 years old, 3 years, $30 million. Then they also picked up Zay Jones from the Raiders, 3 years, $24 million. They just keep throwing money around. They picked up Evan Ingram. I almost forgot about that. A year for $9 million. Jacksonville just picked up everyone. They just decided that this free agency, they will throw money at everyone.
You know, the running joke, and I forgot to give him a shout out, Personal Foul Podcast, Colton Gesser, Will Gethard. They're great at what they do. Will Gethard has been all over every single one of these signings. If you're not following the Personal Foul Podcast on Instagram, and if you're not following them on Facebook, you're not getting all of these. I guess if you have notifications for like 7,000 people on Twitter, you're getting these all you have to do is follow that. Will gets these up right away, and you'll know about all of them. So shout out to them, and definitely go listen to Personal Foul Podcast, 5 p.m. on Wednesdays. Just note, it's not a free promotion for them. They don't pay, but once upon a time, they were going to be loosely a part of the Opinions Podcast Network, and they told us to fuck off and went to U Stadium because U Stadium's real and we're not. So we love those guys. And yeah, they're doing an awesome job breaking down everything. They had a great free agency show today as well. But the running joke is on that show that everyone that they talk about is going to Pittsburgh. This is legitimate. Everyone we're talking about is going. I wouldn't be surprised if the announcement is Von Miller flips and goes to fucking Jacksonville for $300 million. Like, it seems like they're willing to do that. You know, Jacksonville went insane. And the issue, Dave, is they addressed everything they didn't have to outside of Brandon Sheriff. Like, and Christian Kirk isn't worth the money. Zay Jones isn't worth what they paid him. Are they good players? Yes. Are they great players? No. You lose DJ Chark. You lose your best wide receiver to Detroit. Granted, he was injured, but you lost your best wide receiver to Detroit. He's gone. You don't know if you're bringing back Laquan Treadwell. He's been disappointing. So wide receiver room is not going to be great with Zay Jones and Christian Kirk as your guys. Dave, I can't make sense of it.
I don't know. They're going crazy. Doug Peterson is just starting there now this year, so we'll see what's happening with Jacksonville. I just want to bring up that they're throwing money at everyone, and I don't think it's going to work. It doesn't seem like what they're doing is going to work, but the cap is a myth. It's reminding us the cap is a myth. But it's funny.
Signing bonus and guaranteed money doesn't hit the cap if it's spread out later.
Yeah.
So it's weird what they could do in the cap gurus. And that was the biggest hit on the Jets former GM, John Idzik, is that he wasn't a personnel guy. He was a cap guy. So the Jets were like 50 million under the cap every year, but they didn't fucking have anybody. They would just have like big deals and they would sign people and it would be like, oh, instead of paying the guy 30 million, we're really going to pay him 10 million this year. But it's like, but okay, but you suck. So what, but that is certainly going on. And the Saints and Packers are living proof of that. They're both in cap hell and they're both making moves.
Yep.
So let's keep going down here. Dave, we want to bring up two guys that did the old, hey, shake your hand, but nope, gonna go.
They did the Anthony Barr.
They did the Anthony Barr, what Anthony Barr did to the Jets. And it happened twice this year. First, biggest high profile one was Randy Gregory. Randy Gregory had a deal in place. It was announced and reported, heading back to Dallas. Going to be a good signing for them because Dallas had just brought back Lawrence, DeMarcus Lawrence. So they were ready to have that dynamic duo again. Not too much, a few hours later.
Yeah, only like a few hours later.
A few hours later, it's announced, oh, sorry, he's reneged on that. And now he's going to Denver on a 5-year, $70 million deal for $28 million guaranteed. Now, this is another pretty bad deal. Not going to lie. Another pretty bad deal. The guy's 30. The guy, you don't know if he's going to be there because he beats the fuck out of people and he's always in off the field trouble.
They do have a potential out at 3 years. So
they have a potential out.
They at least have a potential out.
They have a potential out, but still, it's a lot to pay for a guy that you don't know if he's going to be suspended half the year because it'll be his sixth offense, whatever it is. So it's a lot to pay for him. And then also, where is it? It's McKissick, right?
J.D. McKissick.
J.D. McKissick, he was going to go to Buffalo.
Yep. And
another one, a few hours later, sorry, going to go back to Washington, to the team formerly known as the Redskins. Not going to call them the Commies. They're the team formerly known as the Redskins. He's going back there. And it's fucking weird, dude. Like, I don't know how I feel about all this. It's really weird.
I mean, that just shows how crazy free agency can be, especially when it starts off, it's all oral.
The first few days are tampering. It's legal tampering, which is the dumbest thing I ever heard of in my life.
So you're not really shaking hands. You're not signing anything at that time. So you say, yeah, but if you want to go the Anthony Barr route and you want to put it in his words, he felt gross. He wanted to throw up. Some of the worst things I ever heard say about the Jets, honestly.
He's a bitch.
But that's the thing, is that you can agree to it, but when you really think about it, and some other teams may still be wanting to talk to you, you could decide to go to another team. And hey, there's nothing really wrong with it. You just don't see it a lot.
Yeah, no, it's a different thing. So let's talk about some other guys here. Marcus Williams, we mentioned, there was a safety that was a coveted safety, the highest coveted safety probably.
And I wanted to mention this. He actually got $14 million a year, but very much assuming he got $14 million a year to go to Baltimore because he believes he'll win a lot easier at Baltimore than with New York. And I don't disagree with that. I mean, I would right now, if I was a player, I'd probably pick Baltimore over New York because New York's not a finished product.
Hey, in the words of CJ Mosley, if you don't want to be here and build where we're coming, then don't come.
Yeah.
He said it the best way.
Fine. Yeah.
So Marcus Williams got a good deal. He got paid in Baltimore, talented safety over there.
Yep.
Chandler Jones, who's a guy that I wanted the Jets to go after. Apparently Connor Hughes reported the Jets were eyeing him, but they weren't willing. We talked about this. Joe Douglas was not willing to go to this number. He wasn't willing to go to the number for Marcus Williams because apparently they were in very hard contact with Marcus Williams and talking a lot with his team. He had a number. They wanted more. He said, thank you. Chandler Jones apparently is the same thing. Chandler Jones is 32 years old. Still a very effective player, a good situational pass rusher at this point in his career.
Mm-hmm.
He got 3 years, $52 million with $34 million total guaranteed. That's a lot of money for an old guy.
Yep.
And, Joe Douglas apparently had his number, wasn't willing to go there. Goodbye. That's one thing I got to respect about Joe Douglas. He's not doing what Jacksonville does, and he very could, because Jacksonville and the Jets are in a very similar situation. I think Jets are a little bit of a better team coming into this, just their bare bones in what Jacksonville was. And they also didn't have Urban Meyer fingering chicks' buttholes at a bar and going through all that. So
complete mess.
We got the bald boys instead, just leading the way. So it's complete difference. But so that's going on. Chandler Jones gets that. Hassan Reddick's a great signing for Philadelphia. I think that was a fantastic deal, what they did there. He goes from Carolina to Philly on a 3-year, $45 million deal with $30 million guaranteed. And it's not a bad deal. $15 million for the pass rusher that Reddick can be, and linebacker he can be. That's very good for that team. I'm just kind of looking down the list here of other guys. Zadarius Smith.
I would like to bring up Zadarius Smith to go back to Baltimore, which is good for him.
Yes.
But I would like to bring up, I feel like we should get this out of the way. The wild AFC West. There has been a bunch of signings in the AFC West. Obviously, you just brought up Chandler Jones.
Yep.
And something that we haven't talked about because it's been mainly a free agency show, but Russell Wilson was traded to the Broncos.
Yes.
So now the AFC West is a stacked division.
It's stupid. It is stupid.
It's easily the best division in the league next year. I don't even think there's a question.
No.
That the Chargers have gone out and made a bunch of signings as well. The Chiefs, not so much. I've seen little things here and there from the Chiefs, but one of the top contracts that we have here is J.C. Jackson to the Chargers, 5 years, $82.5 million. The Chargers have made a bunch of signings. Russell Wilson over to the Broncos. The AFC West is going to be a very fun division to watch.
And that's a smart signing because you have to cover guys like Tyreek Hill. You have to cover guys like Jerry Jeudy and Cortland Sutton over there. Mm-hmm. You have to cover, you have to cover a bunch of guys, even though Waller's the best receiver on whatchamacallit, the Raiders. You still have Hunter Renfrow, who's more of a slot guy, but still, you want to invest in a good corner. You really do, because you're going to need them there. So as a very good signing, pricey signing, but corners are arguably the third biggest position in football in terms of money. You have your edge rushers, your quarterbacks, and corners have skyrocketed up there over the last few years. So that is a pretty decent deal. Dave, anyone as we scroll down that kind of pops off the screen for you in terms of, I have Russell Gage here getting a good deal from Tampa Bay, given Tom Brady, who came out of retirement. Fuck you, Tom Brady. Go and live your perfect life, Tom Brady. What is wrong with you? No, and who in his position mentions unfinished business? Stop. What is unfinished? You lost the game.
Win the Super Bowl.
Fuck him.
He has unfinished business.
No. Here's the nonsense with Tom Brady.
I like that mentality. I love the mentality.
But the nonsense with Tom Brady is he convinces himself of this shit regardless. Because if they win the Super Bowl, he's like, well, playing at a high level, might as well try it again. And if they lose the Super Bowl, it's like, well, these motherfuckers beat me. I got to come back. Like, no. He always makes up an excuse to not go and stay with his supermodel, gorgeous wife and just live on a beach. Go away. Granted, seeing another Tom Brady fucking wasted off a boat Super Bowl victory party would be fantastic, because that is it was absolutely hilarious watching him get carried out of the party boat. But at this point, I don't want the guy to die. He's getting old.
That's true.
I don't want him to get hit and die.
That's very true. All of that's true. But we actually forgot the biggest signing of free agency.
What are you going to say?
MVP, Mitchell Trubisky to the Pittsburgh Steelers. They really found their quarterback for the future. I'm very happy for them. I'm very, very happy for them. They're going to be great. Let's not forget that playoff game that they lost to Philly in the double doink. He threw for 300 yards. Mitchell Trubisky is going to be great for the Steelers. Are you kidding me? He's going to come in and he's going to throw amazing. And a bunch of happy Steelers fans waving terrible towels around. I'll tell you that.
So when do the Nathan Peterman comparisons start with him?
They actually, I don't think that'll start.
He's going
Mitch is not as bad as Nathan Peterman.
He has Eli Manning interception leader of the league potential. Here's the deal. And here's the thing that I went into. I'm mentioning Twitter Spaces a lot, but they're fun. Go try them out, everybody. I went into Colton was running a Twitter Space. He also writes for Steeler Nation, and he does their Twitter Spaces all the time. I went in there, and all it was Steelers fans trying to convince themselves this was a great signing. And I just came in with the cautionary tale. And I said, as a Jets fan, I've been here before. Because what have we heard? Geno Smith, a lot of coaching movement. If he just had a better supporting cast, Sam Darnold, a lot of coaching movement. If he just had better guys around him, what the fuck have Geno Smith and Sam Darnold done? Geno Smith had a nice run in Seattle.
Yeah, that was very good in Seattle. I think a great half in Seattle.
Great, he played okay. Sam Darnold looked good against the Jets and then sucked every which way for Carolina. Mark Sanchez had success with the Jets, got eaten up, and then was a backup for every single AFC East team besides the Giants. Like, if a quarterback is great if they can make it work, period. Because do you think Justin Herbert gives a fuck who's telling him who to call a play? Or Joe Burrow? Or any of these guys actually gives a shit who's telling him what play to call? It's not like Tom Brady brought fucking McDaniels down with him because, oh my God, I need a guy to call a play for me. No, it doesn't matter. If you're a good quarterback, you're a good quarterback. We've seen guys elevate actual trash bags to very good level because they are talented. Mitchell Trubisky is a good quarterback. Mitchell Trubisky is a very good backup quarterback. Mitchell Trubisky's Colt McCoy if people thought he could be a good starter. That is who Mitchell Trubisky is. And Steelers fans are going to find out.
He is the MVP. There will be no shame upon his name. None.
You know who he actually is? He's like Blake Bortles. He's boat.
He's like Blake Bortles. No shame upon the boat's name either.
He's a little boat.
You are going way too far on this podcast.
The best thing is, Dave, Big Cat actually went into Colton's Steeler Nation space, and Big Cat just lied to them for a half an hour because he's a Chicago guy. Yeah. And he goes, Trubisky just can't roll left and he can't throw left, so don't ask him to do that. But if everything's on the right, he's fine. And then people agreed with him when he left. It's like, you have to convince yourself that the guy's a talented player. He's probably not a fucking good player. That's it. They were ready to roll with Dwayne Haskins, so anything looks better at this point. So
I guess so. Honestly, I would have been interested in other QB moves because there are other things that are going to be done during this offseason. But I think we should round this out with some rumors and something that has seemed to have broken Baker
Last
Mayfield.
thing on a serious note, before we go into rumors, interesting signing that I find very interesting. Tyrod Taylor going over to the Giants.
Yes.
2-year, $11 million deal, mostly guaranteed, $8 million plus guaranteed. It seems like a veteran going in there, but this tells me that they are alarmed at Daniel Jones' development. They are hopeful that he's going to be able to do well with Daboll and this new group. But if he's not able to do well, you can at least get a guy in Tyrod Taylor who knows how to win football games. He's a dink and doink guy. He's good with his legs. He doesn't really take the big chance, but he's a proven winner in the league. He's older. He can help Daniel Jones in terms of how to prepare. But man, he's another one. Giants fans are trying to be hopeful. Daniel Jones don't got it, people. He can't feel the rush. He fumbles the ball. Two things you can't do. Again, Jets fan here. Hi. Experience that. 3 fucking quarterbacks in a row. Experience that. If your fumbles are your issue, if taking care of the football is your issue, you don't fix it. Tyrod doesn't do that. Tyrod's been successful everywhere he's gone. Even when he had a punctured fucking lung and almost died.
Successful, yeah.
And almost died.
He's had a bit of string of bad luck, but he's
had a string of bad luck, but he's a good quarterback, and that's a threat to Daniel Jones. That needs to, if that doesn't light a fire under Daniel Jones' ass, and then I don't know what will. And I think Tyrod Taylor is a starting quarterback after week 7 in New York.
Yeah. And I mean, it's kind of almost a similar thing with Teddy going over to the Dolphins. But
yeah, they don't like Tua there. They hate Tua, actually. I feel bad for Tua. They fucking hate him.
But I'd like to step onto something that has actually apparently broken Baker Mayfield a little bit.
Baker.
There were rumors of the Browns. Actually, not even rumors. I'm pretty sure it's confirmed that the Browns are talking to Deshaun Watson's camp with the possibility of getting him. And Baker put out what seemed like a lengthy post. I didn't read it. I don't read anyone who's going to put out a lengthy post, honestly.
I actually read it.
There's no reason.
I read it. You asshole.
You could do this in like any other way other than putting it on Twitter. I don't need to see that. But Deshaun Watson's been tagged with Deshaun Watson's been tagged with many teams. Browns obviously broke Baker Mayfield at this point, but now apparently he's just meeting with Atlanta.
Yep.
Atlanta is communicating with Matt Ryan saying like, hey, this is going to be a thing. I don't think Matt Ryan takes it too much to heart because he's older, but I know there's been multiple other teams. I believe the Saints are one of them. And
he's mentioned he wants to go to Indy. He wants to go to the Colts. That is his desired destination.
But
and
the Texans won't do that. But
what, you mean the Colts? It's the Colts.
Yeah, the Texans. Yeah, but Texans won't give him the Colts.
I'm talking about Baker though, not Deshaun.
Oh, I'm talking about Deshaun.
Oh no, I moved on to Baker. I'm still on to Baker.
I'm not. I was going to get on to Baker later because Deshaun Watson is the interesting one here.
Okay, Deshaun, go ahead. I did not follow. I kind of zoned out. You mentioned Baker, and I started to get real sad for him.
Yeah, of course. But but he's been rumored to go to multiple teams.
Yes.
Obviously, that's happening because he was. Wow, I'm forgetting the word.
Because he had the allegations placed on him, and now he's free and clear from all criminal allegations. Yeah. He has civil court. He has civil things. Now, quickly before you stop there, people are thinking, and I think the NFL might do this because they're fucking stupid. They might suspend him early on. What are you suspending the man for? What is he getting suspended for?
Yeah, at that point, you waited for criminal charges to see what happened there. At that point, if you're going to wash your hands after that, then wash your hands.
Let him
play.
There's
no reason.
Yes.
If you want to keep going with the civil cases, then keep going with the civil cases, but just make your choice.
Yeah.
Either way, he's been cleared on criminal charges. So that is a hot commodity that honestly, I mean, there's talks about it, but it's not as big as it would be.
Yep.
But that's a very interesting monkey wrench that will be thrown into a certain team at one point. And it'll be very interesting to hear what happens there. But like you said, Baker has interest in going to other teams.
Baker.
He said he'll stay with Cleveland for as long as they want him. He's basically, like I said, he's a broken man at this point, it is unfortunate but
he's given his heart and soul to that team. He's given his heart, and it is part of the business. He did say if he has to go anywhere, his desired destination's going to the Colts, and the Colts did just trade Carson Wentz over to Washington. So it seems like they might be making room. I think if you're the Colts, though, you got to ask Taylor who he wants and who they want him to go out and try and get realistically, because, Jonathan Taylor is that team.
Mm-hmm.
He was a potential MVP candidate. He was an MVP candidate. He was right there. He had one of the greatest seasons of a running back. We don't see factor backs like that anymore. Mm-hmm. And he was an absolute throwback feature back this past year. I don't know. Baker, apparently the GM has come out and said, we're going to try and find the destination that Baker wants. And they're not getting Deshaun. Right now, the Browns are out of the Deshaun Watson sweepstakes. So they went and they fucked with their franchise quarterback, who hasn't been amazing, but he has not been bad. And now you're in a situation where the Browns might have done the most Browns thing ever and be quarterbackless by the end of this. I don't know, man.
To me, the whole situation's funny. Honestly, the whole situation's funny because I know Baker's going to be fine. He's going to get paid somewhere else, like as long as he's not awful. But he'll be fine somewhere else. It's just hilarious to me that this happened, that they just decided. Because honestly, I did not think they would even try for Deshaun Watson.
And they made it public too. It's not even like they were just like, oh, we're putting. It's not even like they played the smoke screen of like, no, we're just putting out feelers. We're doing our due diligence. He's a talented player. No. They were flat out like, we have a package prepared. Baker, you're in it, bitch. Like, oh my God. Yeah, no. And it seems like too, like when you pick up the phone, it seems like Houston's hellbent on getting him out of the AFC because they don't want to see him. Oh,
yeah, I wouldn't want to see him either. It's like, go away.
Shouldn't that be the first thing you ask? Like, hey, you willing to deal him in conference? No, okay, quick. Like, it's got to be like the first thing you ask. I feel bad for Baker. Any other rumors that you want to tackle here? Because, man, that sucks. The Deshaun situation is going to work out. Whoever gets Deshaun is going to be really happy. Because I think he's still going to be a top 5 talent. He's going to come in and remind everybody why he was on top of everyone and everybody else was next. He was the next guy. And then when he went, Patty Mahomes kind of took it over completely.
I would say Patty was still above him.
They were. No,
Patty was above him.
Yes, but the argument was made that he only had D-Hop and nobody else. So we didn't know. So we knew that.
Like that argument, but whatever.
I love that argument. Fuck you, Dave. But so let's go over quickly some of the people that are left, big names that are left, and where they might end up. Allen Robinson needs to wear green and white. I'm just going to say
he's not going to wear green.
He's not. But Allen Robinson's out there. He's a huge wide receiver. Bobby Wagner, obviously, we mentioned. Julio
Jones was just released today.
Julio Jones is 33, but he was released. Yes. He can still be effective. Nate Solder was terrible for the Giants. He's out there. Jarvis Landry is probably the most interesting guy to me because he's still a 1,000-yard receiver. Extremely talented guy. Odell Beckham still out there. Dante Fowler out there, 27-year-old defensive end, underwhelming but talented. Tyrann Mathieu still out there. Landon Collins got cut by Washington, could still be a pretty good player. Stephen Gilmore is 31, but good corner. Calais Campbell's out there. JPP. There's a boatload of talent still out there, Dave. Any of the names that you see going down that are you surprised? Will Fuller's out there, still sitting out there and not getting picked up yet. And is there anyone that you think is going anywhere?
I forgot that Juju is a free agent.
Juju's a free agent. Melvin
he's
Gordon.
Still out there. 25. He's still out there. He's a pretty good receiver.
Melvin Gordon's still out there. Definitely had a revival to his career last year. Played well. Patrick Peterson's still out there. There's a lot of talent. Jadeveon Clowney's a free agent.
Yeah, so we'll see more happen. I will say, more. I think the most interesting thing to me is how Seattle got rid of Bobby, because apparently he didn't know before he even saw the news break. So I don't think that's great for Seattle. Well, it's especially mounting on the fact that like Russell Wilson wanted out of there as well. So not only did you lose your franchise QB who won a Super Bowl for you, or at least helped win a Super Bowl for you, not only did you lose him and basically have to trade him, but then you also cut basically a Hall of Fame linebacker.
I think he's absolutely gonna get
10 years,
yeah,
after 10 years with your team, and apparently he didn't hear it from you. He heard it from breaking news,
yeah, it's
not
terrible.
from you. That's not great. And even
Cordarrelle Patterson's out there, by the way, which is a real interesting name.
Hey, there are a bunch of interesting names out there. We'll see people picked up. Ryan Fitzpatrick's still out there. So
he's mulling retirement. I know that. I know Ryan's mulling retirement.
He's 39. He better be mulling retirement.
But I think that Brady comes back now. He kind of has a chip on his shoulder. He's going to be like, nah, I'm going to play. Fuck Tom. I'm going to try and outlast him. I don't want to leave while he's still here. He has to come out and say that, and then someone will pick him up. I had some. So last thing, you mentioned Seattle. Before we close, Alex, I think we got to close this out. Yeah. You mentioned Seattle. Interesting thing happened with Seattle. Colin Kaepernick just put out a video. He was working out with Lockett and on shorts, and then everyone coming out, of course. Oh, he looks great. Whatever. But, putting out disclaimer here. Colin Kaepernick doesn't belong in the NFL. Maybe he did a year or two after all that shit happened because he was still in good shape. I don't care what you look like. Colin Kaepernick is not an NFL player right now. Go play for the XFL if you want to play football. Get the fuck out of here. Number one. But number two, Pete Carroll, if I'm not mistaken, just rehashed the same fucking quote for the second time in 5 years with Colin Kaepernick. I think it was they almost signed him as a backup to Russell Wilson a long time ago, many moons ago, when Colin Kaepernick still was viable. And I think Carroll back then said, Colin deserves to come back in this NFL. He's an extremely talented player. I just don't think Seattle's going to be the place. It just came out that he basically said that same exact thing, that Colin Kaepernick deserves a second chance, but I don't know if it's going to be with Seattle. So that is the nice way of Pete Carroll saying, dude, he fucking sucks. Can we stop talking about this dude? He's not good. We don't have a quarterback, and we don't want Colin Kaepernick. We have Drew Lock, and we think Drew Lock is better than Colin Kaepernick. That needs to shut the door on Kaepernick. Outside the fact that he only is trying to make himself stay in the limelight, that these dumb fucking workout videos have nothing to do with him wanting to play football, that they're only there for him to get attention. On top of that, you have a team before, maybe with Russell, it's like, oh, yeah, we're not going to bring him in for a backup. Fuck that. Like, whatever. He brings too much shit for backup. They don't have a quarterback. They have Drew Lock. Drew Lock basically throws with his feet. He fucking sucks. And you're not in Kaepernick. He can't get on that team with a friendly guy to him. Cap apparently called him. I want to be a fly on the wall for that conversation. It's got to be like, listen, Colin, you haven't played. We have no film. You won't even go into smaller leagues. Like, get the fuck out of here. Like honestly, stop calling me. Forget my number. I'm changing it. Like, God, that I just found that funny. Pete Carroll, for the second time in 5 years, is like, yeah, Cap's great. He should be in the NFL. Just not with me. He belongs somewhere else.
I didn't realize he basically said the same thing. That actually
basically the same exact thing. Like, they were so close to signing him, and he's just like, he's a great player, deserves a chance. He's not going to be here with us. We like our locker room. We like our team right now as it's made. And then he comes out again. Is like, he deserves a second chance. Not with Seattle though. Cool. Get the fuck out of here, Kaepernick. Just stop trying. That's how I'm going to end this episode. Kaepernick, stop trying. Oh, man. All right. That was a fun episode, everybody. Good episode talking about some free agency there. And there's a ton of people we missed because you can't possibly cover it in a podcast unless you're marathoning it, which we don't plan on doing. If you enjoyed what you heard, you enjoyed a nice little switch up from politics, please like, share, follow, subscribe, rate 5 stars if you're listening on Spotify and iTunes. Spread this word of mouth, and always go find us on the socials, The Alex Cuesta Show. We'll be there. You'll be square. I don't know if that's how it goes, or I don't know. But anyway, again, if things have happened from Wednesday to Sunday, we already apologize. Don't call us fucking idiots. We didn't mean it. We didn't know. But anyway, thank you everyone for listening. We really appreciate it, everybody. We shall talk to everybody later. David, say bye to the people.
Goodbye, everyone. I hope that everything goes well for your football team this year if you do watch football. And unless you're in the AFC East, then I hope it doesn't go well, actually. I hope we sweep you throughout the whole year.
Von Miller signing's the fucking dumbest ever. So long, everybody.